Coldplay on repeat, watching people on the street as I go by. And it doesn't even matter to me where I go, I just feel I need to take a ride. Got my coffee cup to go, and I'm gonna hit the road tonight. Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I go. As the sun goes down. No, it doesn't even matter to me where I go, just feel I need to take a ride. I don't know when I'll get back, keep on going and relax tonight. Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I go. I'm not heading for the stars, driving down this boulevard tonight. Yeah, playing Coldplay on repeat, watching people on the street as I go by. Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I go.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another MG Wellness Ask a Doctor, no matter what the title says, because it didn't change my titles in my little restream. But this is May 27th. We're going to be talking about skin, all the things skin related and how you can damage your skin. But just a couple housekeeping tips before we bring the good doctors up today. We ask today that you share. We ask that you ask as many questions, comments as you want. Nothing's off limits. We just may not bring it up. You just don't know. And please enjoy the rest of the time. So click that share button as you're going. We would love it if you would do that right now. All right. I'm going to bring in behind me the two good doctors. Oh, there we go. And looks like Dr. John's wearing a helmet on his face today.
It's not a helmet. It's just the symbol from the Michigan helmet. And now, Kel and I have had this discussion. You know, if you're going to have to wear a mask some places, you might as well have it show some personality.
So this is what he's been doing. He's frustrated about the mask situation because science shows they're not very helpful. But on the other hand, he's been sewing masks every day.
Until I got one that looked good.
Mm-hmm. So I told him that he couldn't complain and sew at the same time.
I don't think you use complain as the word.
I think that's correct.
All right. Well, let's start. I have a first question for Dr. John tonight. Earlier today, I jumped on YouTube at 4:30 to find out they had already canceled the space flight. But it made me have a question as we were going back here in the U.S. to launching our own astronauts through SpaceX and NASA. And 3:33, I believe, on Saturday is the next attempt for those who are geeks and are going to be watching it live and have already put it on their calendar. I wouldn't know who that might be. But Dr. John and Dr. Kelly, if you want, what are some of the medical advances that have happened because in the last 50 years we've been going to space?
It's actually pretty amazing that people don't understand what the military and what our space program has actually brought to us. And it's not just astrophysics and astronavigation, but exactly, communication is the biggest thing. How is that related to medicine? It has changed medicine in ways that are almost unfathomable. The basic ways, in fact, we were talking this week when we were missing the Indy 500 and we're driving around Indianapolis moping, that I showed her a corner where my father used to have to stop when he got paged, and literally, I shouldn't even say paged, it was beeped. And when the beeper, literally it beeped, went off, he would have to find a payphone to call the medical exchange. And now we have emails, text, and even, you can press 9 or 10 digits and actually get a hold of a human being nowadays. It's pretty enough. And that's just the communication aspect. A bigger point is point of care, or POC, that I'm sitting there with a patient and a patient says, are there any new clinical trials out there? In the past, we would have to call someone and they'd have to call into the National Cancer Institute. Now I can get on here while I'm talking to a patient and go www.clinicaltrials.gov, type in what they have, and use medical knowledge to sift through it and go, you can go see one of my friends at Cleveland Clinic because they've got a trial that we don't have. Or you can go up to Mayo, you can go up to Sloan Kettering. That is amazing. Mm-hmm. And that's just basic advances. We're also starting to understand, because of space and zero gravity, more things about what we call the microenvironment, which is, in the past, it's been very hard to understand about the tumor environment and how to kill a tumor better, because we couldn't create a microenvironment around it. We couldn't create the three-dimensional environment.
We couldn't create the same environment that occurs in each patient's individual body.
And now, because of advances in science from NASA and from their working with different groups, we can actually create three-dimensional growth patterns of tumors and understand better for a patient whether or not
something's going to work.
Right. Or even better, whether or not something has any chance of working.
Yes. So
and that's
a lot of stuff comes from space.
Amazing amounts. I mean, let's go back to one of Dr. John's favorite shows that he still watches from the 1960s, Star Trek. Mm-hmm. And they had these little communication devices that, when you look like flip phones. What we have now is more advanced than what they had. And,
scary, but true.
But, it was like, they were talking to a spaceship. Well, basically, your phone is bouncing off a satellite that would be in the same orbit and bouncing to someplace else on this planet.
So the lesson is that Star Trek was true?
Star Trek wasn't true, but
we go down a rabbit hole.
It was amazing at predicting the future.
Yes. One of the things that I love about these devices, there's a lot of things that we can hate about these devices, but one of the things that I love in terms of taking care of patients with these devices is texting. Texting is very fast. It is very immediate. A lab is returned. It can be texted to me immediately. I don't need to log in and see, I can get a lab value immediately. And that is a game changer for us as physicians, but it's a game changer for patients to have real time, okay, this is what you need to do. So I love that advance, because in the old days it was slow, darn slow.
Well, I think what's fun to watch here is about how much things have changed just by, we think we're just going to space, but we're impacting every area of our life, every section of our life, and how important it is to keep motivated and just keep growing and changing. And so as we go into skin tonight, I'm going to I don't think a lot about skin. I don't use a lot of skin products. Maybe I should use some. I do use water. And the occasional soap that I'm sure I'm going to find out I shouldn't be. But let's start out with, why are so many bad products in our skincare here in the United States? And is that true around the world too?
So the reason that we have many, many yucky things in our skincare products is because, number one, many of these things are cheap. I hate to even talk about it, but it's the truth. And the other thing is that many of these cheap, yucky things allow products to sit on shelves and in warehouses for extended periods of time and not mold, not fungate, not turn rotten. And so because they are cheap and because they prevent molding and rotting of substances and allow things to sit on those store shelves forever, that is why they are put in our products. Now, in the United States, I hate to also admit this, our products are more contaminated than products that are sold in Europe. Our FDA, I'm going to see if we can share a clip that I saved a few months ago, questioning a physician who works for the FDA about the ability of the FDA to keep toxic substances out of our skin and food products. It is astonishing to see that our FDA essentially has or chooses to have no authority. I think that's a big zero. Zero authority in protecting us from yucky things in our skin and food products. And
what they do legally to protect themselves is they say that scientists generally regard it as safe.
And that is an abbreviation, GRAS, generally regarded as safe.
And what that basically means is it's not going to immediately kill you.
Right. So by putting it on your skin within the next 30 minutes, you will not die. Well, that's just not incredibly comforting, because skin products we put on our skin every day, and over a lifetime, even over half a lifetime, that is a tremendous amount of potential toxicity. So for comparison, our FDA, out of 80,000 chemicals that could be added to skin and food products throughout the world, our FDA only bans 11. Just let that sink in. 11 out of 80,000.
So not even a fraction. I mean, literally a fraction of 1%.
Correct.
Basically.
Yes. So the other comparison is that the European Union bans 1,400 compared to 1,400
That's better, but it's still
toxic substances from food and skin products. And so,
less than 2% still.
correct. However, a significant improvement above our products. And you will hear many people from the United States who may visit Europe, or you will hear many people from Europe who visit the United States, and they will notice a significant difference between products in Europe, products in the US, in terms of food reactions or skin reactions to skin products. So it is imperative that we become knowledgeable about the junk that we are putting on our skin, in our bodies, whatever, food and skin products. It's just super important for us to learn about things like this. And I am a lover of all kinds of crazy amounts of skin products. And I have had, and I continue to have to change my habits because of the things that are in our skin products.
So let's start from the very basics. What's one thing that we could do that all of us use a variety of skin products, some of us a lot less than others. So what's the one thing we could do that would help our skin? What's the one thing we can or what are some of the things that we could do that are immediate, that apply to everyone?
So tonight we're going to give you lots of no's, and at the end of all of that, I don't want you to say that we have given you anything that you should. We haven't given you anything that you should do, because I think it's always important to have 1 or 2 or 5 takeaways that you can incorporate this next week into your life. And skin products, we women, we lather up with a lot of stuff and have a lot of soaps and a lot of perfumes and a lot of cosmetics and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. But even for you, soaps and moisturizers and things like that, we've had to address that because skin is so sensitive to stuff that is in our skin products.
It is.
Okay, so I'm going to give one thing. There are several things, but I'm going to give one thing that I would love for all of you to do. Whatever you use as your, boys, don't laugh, moisturizer. Don't even laugh about it. I know you all don't. You should be using.
What is that?
Right. You should be using a moisturizer. Okay? You should. Because I know you're not hydrated enough,
Gin and tonics don't count.
Bruce. And I know.
Happy retirement.
Yes, let's congratulate Bruce Wood. Happy retirement. Excellent.
And Bruce commented earlier, looks like ET is trying to rip your mask off your face. Scary, just so you can.
Nice.
Earlier, that was a moment ago.
Phone home.
So all of us, men and women, should be moisturizing skin. And one way that I want you to take a step toward changing skin products for you and your family is by getting rid of the lotion that you bought from your shelf
I'm giving you a drum roll.
and using coconut oil. What? Seriously. It's summer. You can smell like a Hawaiian beach.
I believe there's a
Oh, there's probably a song about that, isn't there?
Zach Brown.
So
Smells
coconut
like coconut.
oil.
Not sure if it's her
Right,
or the rum.
right. So anyway,
Toes in the water.
yeah, don't even say it. So this is the deal. Coconut oil is an amazing moisturizer for the skin, and we are entering summer, and you can smell like you are on the beach. So do it. Get rid of the toxic
as
stuff.
long as we're talking about coconut oil,
You better not say something rude. Okay, next question.
it's not rude. It's practical.
Okay.
That coconut oil is a very good and safe lubricant,
Yes.
especially for people
Yes.
who have been through radiation in the pelvis, or are on anti-hormones because of breast cancer.
Yes. Very good point. We will go no further in case any children are involved. But yes, this is true.
Is there anything we need to be looking for when it comes to the coconut oil? Do we just go down the aisle and just look for the coconut oil?
Or the coconut.
Or just the coconut. It'll take the lime with the coconut. Oh, sorry.
Drink it all.
All right.
Lime with the coconut.
So this is the deal. You want to look for coconut oil that is pure. Don't get coconut oil that's mixed with 17 other things that end in ATE. Just coconut oil. You can literally get jars of coconut oil.
Yeah, and
that's it.
Coconut oil at room temperature is usually a semi-solid.
Yes. And so it is, don't be sliding around in it, but
Slip sliding away. Okay.
just
Paul Simon now. We are just getting those
just a little
music
schmear.
quotes.
We're gonna get the YouTube takedowns because of the copyright infractions. All right. We have a question here. I use 100% argan oil and I love it. I was told it is the only oil that does not plug your pores. Is that true? May asks.
It is one of the oils that does not plug your pores. So did you all watch our video? Was it last week? Yeah.
Yeah, it was
It was last week.
Thursday.
About mineral oil. If you see any product of yours that says mineral oil or parabens or Vaseline or petroleum
So all of those are basically,
from crude oil,
you take the oil out of the ground and the crud left over. A lot of times it's literally the stuff left over around the drill rigs that semi-hardens. Those are parabens, ethyl paraben, methyl paraben, propyl paraben. I didn't do that in the correct order. That's also petroleum jelly, which is Vaseline. That's mineral oil.
So all of those are things that prevent any moisture from getting into your skin. So if you lather up with baby oil, Johnson's baby oil that you put on your babies, and you lather up with that, no moisture will get in, no moisture will get out, and all pores will be plugged.
And that's why it's a great sealant for something like a drill rig or for
Right.
keeping air,
But we're not drill
scuba,
rigs.
or,
Yes.
as for a water valve, it's a great seal.
Yes, not for skin. But argan oil is good. Coconut oil is great. Another good moisturizer is shea butter. That is a good non-clogging moisturizer that you can use. But anything that is related to mineral oil whatsoever, I would beg of you to stop using it because it's unhealthy for your skin. It just, if you put it on dry skin, it literally locks in the dryness. That's all it does.
And it's really good when you're in the sun for frying your skin.
Correct.
It's kind of like
It attracts
cooking oil.
frying. Yes.
I think the last time I actually wore any oil was my senior year of college, which was a few years ago. And I went, for some reason, thinking that going to the beach just before going back for my senior year of school, that mineral oil and sun-in was a great thing to do. And luckily, I don't burn. Apparently, I don't even burn with mineral oil. But I was bleach blonde for my first days of my senior year. Just in case you're wondering, this is my natural hair color. You can figure that out. In Hawaii, I know, because you guys told me, that there are things that they ban that the rest of the U.S. doesn't. What are they and why are they banning those things when it comes to skin products?
So, because Hawaii, even though there are lots of days that you have clouds, it's obviously the lowest state in location, or closest to the equator, I should say.
Closest to the equator.
And at the same time, it therefore has the most direct sun exposure, that they are very cognizant of things that go on the skin. So products such as oxybenzones, and then the octalhydrates that stabilize benzones,
And what are these found in, doctor?
sunscreen.
Thank you.
So oxybenzones are the most common sunscreen in the world.
Yes.
There are very few products that block UVA radiation. Benzones, oxybenzone, avobenzone, and zinc oxide, the old white stuff that you saw on the lifeguard's nose. Those things block UVA radiation. But problem is, oxybenzones and avabenzones have a pretty short life. And when directly in UVA radiation, and the UVA radiation creates what are called free radicals. Free radicals, basic way to think about it is an extra electron floating around trying to cause problems.
Is an extra electron floating around trying to cause problems a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, since it's trying to cause problems, I'm assuming it's a bad thing.
Why?
Free radicals,
They're little scavengers. Right?
well, that's one way of looking at it, doctor.
Yes.
But they scavenge good things instead of bad things.
Correct.
And they are carcinogens. And the way you prolong these are with the octalhydrates, and other such compounds. And those are not healthy for your skin either. And so now avobenzone is still allowed, from what I understand, in Hawaii. But
Correct.
oxybenzone,
Is
the
not.
octalhydrates, and all those are all banned.
So oxybenzone, like we said, is in many, 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 many sunscreens. Please
How many minis was that?
do not buy it, because what has been shown is that application of oxybenzones to the skin is absorbed at a rate of 450 times more than is considered a toxic level in your body. Why in the world?
But it's still allowed by the FDA. Thank you.
450 times. I mean, come on. So when you buy a sunscreen, do not buy a sunscreen that has oxybenzone in it.
And every one you look at almost.
Yes, there are a few, and we will give you the good ones in a couple of weeks. So hang tight. But avobenzone has only been shown to be 9 times higher in absorption in our body.
Avabenzone's still allowed, even though it does cause.
Yes, even though it has toxicity, it is still allowed. Anything that says benzone, just stay away from that. Anything that says zinc oxide, it is not perfect, but it is significantly better for you.
And you get to look like a lifeguard.
Yes, you look cool. You look like you know what you're doing at the beach. So that's a good thing.
Especially when you have white goop all over your body.
Well, that's how cool beach people look. So that's all
Okay.
about Hawaii and why they
In
ban
fact,
certain things.
one of the things that's always been interesting is dealing with our children in the sun. And they're always... No, we've talked about this
I
a million
know,
times.
and I probably contributed to
No,
it.
but we talked about the fact that, they're like, well, shouldn't we be putting sunscreen on? And we're like, actually, the sunscreen's worse for you than the sun is.
However, we have a daughter who loves to see the sun and loves to apply things to her daughter's skin, but not to her own, because she likes to have a little tan. So I may have contributed to that a little bit.
Toes in the water.
Yeah. Okay.
So question, do sunscreens cause cancer, may ask? They seem so strong.
So oxybenzone, avobenzone, they are considered carcinogens, cancer-causing agents. And
Which is why they're not allowed in the European Union
correct. They are not allowed in the European
or
Union.
Hawaii.
But they are allowed here, and don't buy it. Just don't. We've talked about
they are cancer causing.
yes.
There's
We've talked about the fact that we speak very, very loudly with our dollars, don't we? And so one of the ways to speak very loudly about toxic things in our skin products is to refuse to buy sunscreens that have oxybenzone, avobenzone, all of those in them. And so, yes, they are considered carcinogens. If you apply it to your skin every day of your life for all of your life, will you definitely get cancer? No.
That's
because
true with
nothing-
anything. You could also sit out in the
That's
sun.
Correct. I was just
You could
going
also
to
sit out in the
finish
sun
my
forever and
sentence.
never get a skin cancer.
That's correct. So it's not 100%, but you do raise your risk of having cancer if you apply things like that to your skin.
And it's not just skin cancers. It raises
No,
the rate
no.
of multiple
internal
cancers.
cancers. Right. Correct.
Because you actually absorb it.
Correct. It goes to your bloodstream.
So let's take me back to my high school days in theater and wearing lots of makeup, because that's the last time I wore and applied makeup in heavy amounts. But I'm going to assume that there are lots of things that go into our makeup that are bad for our skin. And what are some of those things? Are there other things we've mentioned? You know, what are we looking for in sunscreen? Are there some products we need to stay away from that are more in the, I don't even say I'm going to get out of my blush. I don't know, whatever.
Yes.
Some type of
So
makeup.
let's bring up the slides.
All right, let's go
So
slides.
let's have Dr. Kelly talk about this one, since Dr. John
Knows nothing about it.
he is not
Okay.
theatrical.
Lots of things we have already talked about, and we're going to put these slides up on the MG Wellness Instagram and Facebook pages tomorrow. But specific things, here we go. Lead. So this is what's really disgusting about lipsticks, glosses, and shimmers. Look at that last little sentence. Women eat on average 10 pounds of lipstick during a lifetime.
How many has Bruce?
I don't know, Bruce. Don't tell us, please. I don't want to know.
I mean, the fact is, I think I've eaten more than that. I just chew on it every once in a while. So,
It's so gross. But I mean, having worn, lots of lipstick, it's disgusting to think about. But lead is known to be toxic to our nervous system. It also affects fertility and stress hormones. And
you heavier.
gotta be worried about that lead.
so funny.
Yeah, good old Columbium.
I mean, is it the same as eating pencils? No, never mind.
That's graphite. Come on, Doc.
Always said I was writing with pencil lead.
Okay. The last one of the several that I just flipped through is polyethylene glycols that are common in creams and cosmetics. All these things.
And in
Miralax. Well, that's a different story. But all of these things that are shown here contain polyethylene glycols. They are petroleum based. So that is from oil rigs. There are 2 different carcinogens that are in polyethylene glycols. And what is really awesome, sarcasm, about polyethylene glycols is that they make other toxins in the skin products penetrate the skin more easily. Isn't that cool? So it's like an added bad bonus.
bonus.
So these are things that are currently in stuff we buy off of the shelves that have been sitting in warehouses and shipped to sit in the store forever to not rot, so that you will buy them and contaminate your skin. So these are the bad things that are in. Now this is another one. This is not makeup, but there is a lot
Yep.
to be said about products that lighten or even skin tone. So as we age,
So we shouldn't want to be Michael Jackson.
that's correct. So as we age, we get
Really?
uneven skin tone and we get darker spots and all of that. Hydroquinones are carcinogens that are used to actually lighten the skin. And this is the really ridiculous bonus about this. Hydroquinones decrease skin elasticity, and so you get actually worse skin aging. Isn't that
Bonus.
cool? So why in the world are we using it?
And what's funny is,
Crazy.
as Dr. Kelly's thinking all these clinical aspects, I'm thinking about the chemical structure of a hydroquinone.
We know. So those are some of the things that, and I'm just naming like the top 10 yucky things that are in our skin products. There are many, many, many more. But this is just things that'll kind of get your brain moving a little bit.
We didn't even talk about SLS. Are we good?
It's in the slides, but we haven't.
sorry.
Do you want me to go there?
No, but okay.
Let's
one
go
of
there.
the problems we always have in the United States is,
A lot of skin reactions.
well, yes, that is absolutely true. And
Yes.
and we can get into we could do whole segments on that. But one of the interesting things also is that we have very specific expectations about products. For instance, when you close a car door, you want to hear that solid, not ding.
Okay.
When you go in the shower, what do you think of? You want to lather up, suds up.
Very true.
And there's no benefit in that.
Correct.
And in fact, one of the worst products,
Is
one of the worst
No.
products, one of the worst products is the product that actually does that in almost everything out there.
which is go to the slides.
Sorry.
I will go there. Here we go. Sodium lauryl, or even worse, sodium laureth sulfate.
That's not a woman's name, Bruce.
It is used for suds, and it is massively corrosive to the skin, and it makes the skin age faster. One of the things that I have found in talking to people about skincare, skin products, all of that, is that this is the particular substance that often creates these unknown dry spots or rashes, or my skin seems to be so irritated, I don't
Yep.
know what's wrong. And
Yep.
sodium lauryl or sodium laureth sulfate are products that if you see them, you're gonna love these products because they lather up.
They suds up.
Lather
You get
is
great
bad for
bubbles.
your skin.
Yes.
It's bad.
That's the whole point. So the expectations that have been created by the media over years.
Ads, big bubbles. What do kids love in their bath? Big bubbles. So this is the thing right here that is massively corrosive to your skin. It's super drying and ruins skin elasticity. And I have used this in tons of
And
products.
that's the amazing thing, is that it really is a problem for a lot of people, and doctors don't realize this.
Right. Dermatologists are
Do.
beginning to.
Yes.
But a lot of physicians don't even know this.
So a couple questions I have, but I'll start with Donna's question. She asked, what is good for baby's skin in regard to diaper rash or eczema issues?
So there are a couple of clean diaper rash creams that we will put up on our Facebook and Instagram sites that can do amazing things. Many of them are not bought in the store. They are not bought in the store. Some of them do have drying agents like zinc oxide in them. But they do not have any of this sodium lauryl sulfate, any of these other toxic products that we're talking about. I will put some of the clean ones up on our site for you guys to see, because I think that's the best way to talk about them.
Yes.
Okay.
So some of these things are cultural over years. I'm going to assume, and maybe you guys don't know this, that at some point there was historical reference for how we like soap. I mean, because it's definitely cultural. We like bubbles. We like bubble baths. We like our bubbles in our spas. Those aren't, created by air versus, bad substances. Do
I
we
told
know?
you that's air in the hot tub.
So,
Nice.
but is there a historical, like, when did we start using soap? Do you know?
I have absolutely
See, I like to ask
zero
questions you don't
idea. So thank you for
if
asking
look-
that question.
But we know.
I mean, it has
if
to
you
do
go
with
back-
what we're seeing.
Right. But if you go back and look at borax or Boroxol,
Okay, let me just tell you a story.
Is that Borat or Borax?
Dr.
Okay, just
Dr.
checking.
John, one of his favorite, oh my word, he has probably said this 1,000 times during our marriage about how he absolutely loves borax. Do y'all know what borax is? You know
Seven
what
Mule Train
is.
borax.
You know what borax is because your great, great, great grandfather talked about borax. And you know why he likes it? Because it washes your glasses and doesn't leave any residue.
exactly. Why do you want soap residue on your wine glasses?
I kid you not. Our kids imitate him talking about borax, how it cleans all your glasses without leaving any water stains.
But does it work, doctor?
Yes, absolutely it does.
It's actually one of my favorite things about going to Ted's Montana Grill is the borax soap in the bathroom.
See?
Thank
I
you.
mean, have I proven
Thank
my
you,
point?
Ted Turner, for the borax soap. Sure, he was integral in that.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Is it in that little shaker thing?
Yeah, see? You know what I'm talking about. You hit it,
Oh,
and
it's
the
all these
granules come out.
granules.
Yes, that's borax.
Anyway, yeah. So, what was the question? I forget where we
We
were.
were
Borax.
Where did
With-
historically become
historic,
from?
yeah,
because
I was-
it wasn't in that. But honestly, I can tell
Borax
you,
does not
I can
suds.
tell you, right? It doesn't suds. I can tell you where it came from if you really want to know. It's the same.
Okay, wait. Do we want to know, people? I know you all are going, yeah. I'm going, please.
Okay, so where? And no, I'm not doing this
Is
as a
this a
quiz.
quiz?
No, this is the MG Wellness Minute. Anyway, so during the 50s and 60s, you had the daytime dramas. And
Soap operas.
ta-da! And who was the sponsor of all of the daytime dramas initially? Soap companies. And that's where it came from.
Palmolive, you remember? She soaked her hand in the bowl
Yep.
of Palmolive, right?
And
Remember that?
that's exactly how it happened. I'm not kidding. That is actually how it happened. That is knowledge.
that's a good
I do
story.
not even know what neurons connected to pull that story back out.
I'll tell you something. That's a good story. So even if it's not
Oh no, it's
a
true.
good
That one's
story.
true. That is true. So
No,
is the
that-
borax.
I can see that that's true. Yeah, I can accept that.
All right, I'm going to cut in, and we can answer any of your questions that you may have in the next few minutes. I think we have about 15 or so minutes left. But I remind you, while you're here, if you have not signed up and get our regular newsletter that is sent out on Wednesdays every week, and then a follow-up usually later in the week, mgwellnessnewsletter.com, you can sign up and find that right away. And then make sure if you have any questions, you can share, ask. We're going to jump in here. Let me pull up Dr. John and Dr. Kelly, and we'll bring in a couple more of the comments and questions here. Let's see. Got to get the right button. Sue said, I recently watched a program called Makeup Mayhem. I'm sure that is very eye-opening.
Yes.
And Bruce, I'm not even going to read this till I put it up because it's more fun that way. So you show tied on your slides, how much do those suds-enhancing chemicals transfer your skin from your clothes? I change to, and then that's where my system breaks. I'm not sure what that says, but I'll look it up. We'll start with that, with the first part of that question.
They do.
Yeah, it's so. Let's go to the slides of. Let me try to
This
get
goes
that.
back to why I like borax.
So sodium lauryl sulfate is very, very commonly in our skin detergents. And this is one thing that I am currently being convicted about because I am okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself.
Oh, we're getting personal here.
Just a little bit.
Are we getting skin deep?
No, we're not. We're getting heart deep. So this is the deal. What is my name? My name is Kelly. What rhymes with Kelly? Smelly.
Jelly.
So when I
Deli?
was a kiddo, they called
Telly?
me Kelly Smelly. So I have this complete and total hot mess of a psychological issue about fragrances, and like everything has to smell good all the time. I have an issue. Yes, I do.
This is not where I thought you were going with this.
Okay. Well, good. So my detergents need to smell like, fabulous. In fact, one of the greatest compliments, this is so ridiculous. One of
Yes.
the greatest compliments we ever
know what
received.
you're gonna say.
You know exactly what I'm going to say. Was we went over to one of our really good friends' homes, and we walked in the door and we hugged the husband and wife, friends of ours. And they said, "Oh my goodness, you guys are our best smelling friends." I literally was so happy.
I
know
was
that's
worried about
stupid.
the other people.
So anyway,
Oh, you're our worst smelling friends.
right.
Oops, just touched my nose.
So anyway, sodium lauryl sulfate is in a lot of detergents as well as a lot of other toxic
And yes,
junk.
it does. And what Bruce was getting at,
It does irritate your skin,
and it
it's
stays
toxic.
behind.
Yes,
And
it's toxic.
it's
It
another
is.
reason why sometimes I actually throw borax into
Don't throw it on my clothes.
the wash also, because it actually helps remove everything and dissolve out, versus a lot of the detergents stay on your clothes.
Yes. So I am actually currently going to be changing detergent because
We've been
I buy a
discussing this.
less toxic detergent, but it's not a clean detergent because it has all that fragrance and all kinds of junk in it. And
We've been discussing this.
it's affecting our skin. Yes. So Bruce, you're right. Yes.
And Bruce's second part of the question that was cut off by that was, or not question, but he made a comment. He said it changed to deodorant without aluminum.
Yes, good move.
So, and let's talk deodorant, because deodorant is one of those things that are all
Yes.
over the board. There's all kinds of
Only
products.
do not get antiperspirants. Only deodorant, and get deodorants that are aluminum free.
Correct. And okay, this is another thing. So a lot of people will say, but I'm so afraid it's not going to work. Okay. And when your nickname is Kelly Smelly, you have a lot of, fears about things like that. So the deal is this. One thing that we have found
is now a doctor and has been a chairman of a department, and she still goes back to being 6 years old.
I know. I'm telling you, when you have nicknames, they stick with you forever. But the deal is
We won't even talk about mine then.
No. The deal is that when you change your diet to whole foods,
Yep.
plant-based protein, clean things, your actual
changes
physical
dramatically.
odor chills out.
It's very interesting because
It's pretty amazing.
we've talked about this before, and also with Nate, about that was the original reason why Steve Jobs became a vegan, was to get rid of body odor.
It's
And
just bizarre.
It is so true. It changes your body odor dramatically to cut out processed foods, to cut out dairy.
Yes, it's absolutely bizarre. So, in addition to the change in deodorants, I will tell you that change in our personal journey, we've talked about that a million times. Just how it's so bizarre.
Yeah, I never thought that I'd be able to use
An aluminum-free deodorant,
right, because I always had to have the maximum strength.
right? But it's just not. It's
You
not
don't.
an issue.
No,
So,
it's not. And don't wear an antiperspirant at all anymore.
Yeah,
and the
antiperspirants
funny
are
thing
terrible.
is, I used to sweat a ton.
Yes.
I actually sweat less now that we eat more cleanly.
Yes. Very much so. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay.
And I don't stain the armpits yellow from aluminum.
Oh, that's a neat one. Thanks for sharing.
But that's true.
I know.
All right. So one of the questions here is, so what detergent do you recommend? Since those would
We're
be
working on it.
I really think, May, that it comes down to looking for something that is as clean as possible. I cannot do borax yet. I can't do it. But anyway, because even the ones that say that they're clean at the grocery store,
They'll still have sodium lauryl sulfate.
right?
And a lot of times they'll even say sodium lauryl sulfate free. And then it has,
Then it has 17 other garbage things
well,
in it.
and sometimes it'll have then sodium laureth sulfate instead of
I'm gonna
lauryl
get.
sulfate.
I'm gonna get.
We will come up with good
Well,
ones.
in 2 weeks, we are actually talking about the good versions of all of these things.
I have 2 weeks to figure this out.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so I'm going to bring several options. I'm going to give little bits along the way because you guys have asked about it and it's not fair to wait 2 weeks for those answers. But in 2 weeks, we're going
Because
to
she's
give
impatient.
several options for each of these categories of skin products so that you guys will have a list going forward of what's clean.
What and thinking of the laundry things, one of the things I've seen recommended, and does this improve since it is hard to find some of those clean things, especially when you're looking, you're trying to clean out kids' stains and things like that. You have to use some type of chemical to get rid of that. Unless you have something that I would like to know, vinegar, try that. But I would suggest washing it a few more times after the vinegar. That is not a popular smell. I tried it; it didn't work for a week. Didn't have any friends left. What like
But
the
we're
extra
being chased around by a bottle of olive oil.
So, but the one of the things I wonder is the extra, like these, a lot of these new washers now, you can add an extra clear water and spin cycle, or it's up to three. I've seen some of them do 3 extra cycles of water and spin. Does that decrease what's left in the clothing?
That's the idea behind
Theoretically.
it, but I've never seen a study actually prove
I
it.
haven't seen a study on it either. Let's look that up.
It's the old thing they claim it does, but
I mean, it's a good theory, but does it actually play out?
let's actually
I don't
prove it
know.
first.
I don't know. We'll have to look that up because I haven't looked that up.
And there are people asking about antiperspirants, saying they never work for me. I sweat too much for deodorant. Let's talk a little bit about the antiperspirant and what the theories are on that. That's obviously come in the year, in the last 100 years. Antiperspirants. So
Put the slides up, and I'll go to the
Yep.
one that talks about. Hold on, I'm getting there. Here we go. So, aluminum is used in almost all antiperspirants, but I will tell you that just like we said, and the second 2 comments there, it's a neurotoxin linked to Alzheimer's and may increase the risk of breast cancer. So, I mean, we're not playing around here. This is not something to be messing around with. Now, this little slide that I have right here, this little picture, on the bottom of it, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to show you ones that are yellow, like they only have minimal bad junk in it. But then I'm going to show you things that are green and they are
Antiperspirants
good,
and not deodorants.
that are good for you to use.
And the biggest thing that I can tell you about when people say, I sweat too much for it, if you change your eating habits and are truly healthy in eating, you will perspire much less.
There are rarely conditions where sweat glands are massively overproducing sweat.
And then there are
surgical treatments for that.
people use actually lasers in the doctor's office
Correct.
to get rid of hyperhidrosis.
Correct. But that's very, very rare. And honestly, the biggest thing you can do is remove processed foods from your diet,
And dairy.
and it will be a game changer in
really
terms
is.
of odor and sweat and
And the volume of perspiring. It's amazing the difference.
yeah. That's what we got for you.
And I think we have some great insight here from Bruce. Apparently, since he did retire, He says Dawn is amazing. They use it on oil-soaked ducks. I mean, that is the ultimate proof that it's good for our skin.
So
However, they
one
do
of the
use it on
reasons
oil
that I have loved Dawn
is because they use it on oil-soaked ducks.
is because it cuts the grease, right? It also cuts your skin in half. So my own mother used to use just totally caustic soap and would wear these plastic gloves, right? Because it would so irritate her
Playtex.
skin. So this past year, what did I have to do? Did I change the soap? No. I actually got those stupid plastic gloves. And then I was like, this is just so dumb.
So we changed to Myers,
So we changed to Myers soap. Yeah.
which are not nearly as caustic.
Right. They're not perfect, but they're much better. Dawn is, it will cut the grease and it will cut any moisture that you have in your skin.
Once again, borax.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm going to assume,
saying
let's
it's
take,
subliminal.
rarely do I have dry skin, only when I visit Phoenix for like a month. So what is that? And usually it's an overabundance of shine and glare and oil in my skin. Though that can be, what is that? Why is it different skin types? Is that a genetic piece of that for those who,
Yes.
and obviously I drink a ton of water. I'm very hydrated at all times, but
So the support of your skin, which, I'm gradually losing that a little bit, but that elasticity is helped by proper hydration. And I am a person that I know prior to this past couple of years when I have been really, really focusing on healthy living. I know that I was massively dehydrated. When you're operating in the operating room, when you are taking care of patients, you do not
Want to-
hydrate.
Yeah,
like
you don't want to
need
have to pee.
Right,
during the
you don't
middle
have
of surgery.
time.
Excuse me, can you hold that scalpel?
Right. So you really do intentionally dehydrate yourself. And that is very, very rough on skin. But in terms of oil, some people have oily areas here. Some people have oily faces all over. That's more related to genetics. However,
It's also related to
it's
what you
related
eat.
to foods as well.
Yeah, it's very related to foods. There are a few foods that I eat and I will immediately start getting oil and zits right through there.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. I mean,
I don't know if it's funny. It's interesting.
oh, okay, thank you. I guess she
so
doesn't
you're
think it's
saying
funny.
the vat of Burger King fries that I eat every day
That would
are
be
not
bad.
helpful. Okay.
That would be bad.
Just checking.
Well,
But
let's make sure they're not using corn oil or canola oil.
I only do
use
things in
olive oil.
peanut oil that I can swim in. That's my rule of making sure.
Nice.
So with that, I think we will again say congratulations, Bruce, on your retirement. And he
Yay,
says he loves retirement.
Bruce!
It is 9:00 Eastern. We'll be back next week. Dr. John and Dr. Kelly are actually going to be remote next week. So they'll be zooming in and I'll be broadcasting it to the world on our YouTube and Facebook stations around. Be ready to tune in at 8:00 Eastern time. Dr. John, Dr. Kelly, what will we be discussing next week?
Dr. Kelly, what are we discussing next week?
He's along for the ride, people. He's just along for the ride. So the deal
Someone's
is
gotta be
that
the
next
brains.
week we are talking about how to feed your skin. Many of the things that we talked about tonight in more detail. What are things that are yucky for your skin that we eat, and how do we then change that to things that are healthier for your skin? Foods that are in particular very healthy for your skin. We know whole foods, all that kind of stuff. But we're going to talk about particular examples that are healthy for your skin.
All right. Lots of good things to be working on next week. Make sure you get in early. You can have your questions. You can always put them on the post throughout the week, and we can bring them up as well so that we can make sure we answer any of your questions. We are here at least 1 hour live every Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Nate, and that is Dr. John and Dr. Kelly.